Lauren's face paled instantly. What did you say? Where's Dr. Hackett? What's going on? Bernard and Philip approached, looking apologetic. We're sorry, Ms. Rhodes. Miss Cecilia's condition is critical. We've done all we can. Philip added, his voice filled with frustration. The initial treatment seemed promising, but suddenly, Miss Cecilia's breathing weakened dramatically. It's not our lack of skill, Ms. Rhodes. We're simply facing an impossible situation. Before Philip could finish his explanation, Lauren slapped him. Ms. Rhodes, what was that? You idiot. Lauren seethed, her body trembling with rage. Didn't you just boast about your ability to save Cece? Philip stood there, speechless and humiliated, his cheek stinging from the blow. Then Lauren turned to Bernard, her voice dripping with venom. Dr. Hackett, I'll ask you one last time. Is there anyone else in this hospital who can help? If anything happens to her, you and your incompetent son will face severe consequences. Bernard was visibly shaken and he stammered. There is one person we could try. Who is it? Dr. Andrew Lloyd. Lauren's eyes lit up. Of course. Dr. Lloyd. Quick, get him to save Cece. Philip, consumed by jealousy, mocked. Andrew's in my department. I know his capabilities. He's not up to this task. Lauren's eyes flashed with a dangerous glint. Shut your mouth. If you dare speak again, I'll remove your tongue. Philip's face instantly ashen, knowing that he had ruined his reputation forever in Lauren's eyes. Even so, he absolutely could not stand seeing Andrew being favored. Just then, Andrew arrived on the scene. He glanced at Lauren and said sternly, "There's no need to summon me. Saving lives is my job. As the patient's sister, you should focus on helping rather than venting your anger. Come with me. I'll need your assistance." Lauren's cheeks flushed at Andrew's unexpected rebuke. She was stunned that this mere doctor dared to speak to her in such a manner. Eunice was dissatisfied with Andrew's behavior and intervened. Dr. Lloyd, please show more respect to Ms. Rhodes. Andrew, already striding toward the emergency room, replied without turning back. I'm sorry, but I prioritize what's right over who's important. If that offends you, feel free to find another doctor. As Eunice sputtered in anger, Lauren raised a hand to stop her. Watching Andrew's retreating figure, she realized, to her surprise, that his blunt words had not angered her at all. In the emergency room, Andrew donned his gloves and began the life-saving procedure. The little girl on the operating table was deathly pale, her skin taking on a bluish tinge, and her breathing was barely noticeable. Philip and Bernard watched from the sidelines, internally scoffing. They thought the case was hopeless and were curious to see how Andrew would fail. If Cecilia died, they could quickly shift all blame onto Andrew for interfering. Andrew, we've tried everything possible. What else do you think you can do? Philip asked coldly. Ignoring Philip, Andrew turned to a nearby nurse and requested, "Scalpel." Then he made an incision on Cecilia's wrist. Blood immediately began to flow, alarming everyone in the room. Bernard exclaimed, Dr. Lloyd, what are you doing? The patient is already critical. How can you justify bloodletting? Lauren was equally frightened as she watched Cecilia's blood flow steadily from the cut. She wondered what Andrew could possibly be thinking. Andrew replied calmly, I'm draining the toxins from her body. Initially, the poison was only skin deep and could have been treated with medication. But due to the delay, it's now in her bloodstream. Bloodletting is our only option. Philip angrily retorted, That's nonsense. If Miss Cecilia were poisoned, I would have noticed it immediately. Just as Philip finished speaking, another observing doctor gasped, It really is poison. Look at the patient's blood. It's turning black. Indeed, Cecilia's blood had changed from a healthy red to a murky black, a clear sign of poisoning. Philip's face turned red as a beet, thoroughly embarrassed by the public correction. Bernard frowned. Dr. Lloyd, you may be draining the poison, but she's just a child. If you continue this bloodletting, even if you remove all the toxins, she might not survive the blood loss. Andrew remained composed. You're right, which is why we'll be giving her a blood transfusion during the detoxifying process. Bernard shook his head. That's just wishful thinking. It's impossible. However, Andrew had already turned to Lauren, gesturing her to expose her wrist. Lauren complied. revealing her slender, fair arm. Then Andrew continued, "Your sisters and I've confirmed that your blood types match. You'll be donating blood to her." Bernard immediately objected. "Dr. Lloyd, this is madness. Even with matching blood types, you can't perform a direct transfusion. It's basic medical knowledge. You'll cause Miss Cecilia's blood pressure to skyrocket. No one could save her then." Another senior doctor chimed in. "Andrew, this method won't work. At the very least, you should draw Ms. Rhodes' blood first and transfuse it through proper equipment. That's the safest approach." Andrew had already connected Lauren and Cecilia within 4 lines. He calmly replied, "Under normal circumstances, you'd be correct. But this isn't a normal situation. We can't afford any more delays." Philip seized the opportunity to mock Andrew. "You talk a good game, but if you actually do this, you're guaranteed to cause harm. Not only will Miss Cecilia be in danger, but Ms. Rhodes will be at risk too." Andrew's tone grew cold. "You've been interfering with my work since I started. If you're so knowledgeable, why don't you take over?" Philip bit his lip, frustrated. "Fine, since you're so smart, let's see how you save her." With lightning speed, Andrew pressed several points on Cecilia's body. What happened next astonished everyone in the room. Blood from Lauren began flowing smoothly into Cecilia, while the poisoned blood drained steadily from Cecilia's other wrist. The process seemed perfectly balanced. As fresh blood entered her system, color returned to Cecilia's pale face. The observing medical staff were stunned into silence. Bernard looked at Andrew, unable to hide his shock. "Dr. Lloyd, was that some sort of secret pressure point technique used to block circulation or pressure points from an ancient medical practice?" Andrew nodded. He was surprised by Bernard's unexpected insight. Philip, behaving like an idiot, asked his father, "Dad, what's this pressure point technique? It doesn't seem like a big deal to me." Bernard's face darkened instantly, wishing he could slap some sense into his dim-witted son. He hissed, "You fool, just shut up already. Haven't you embarrassed us enough? The pressure point technique is a legendary skill in medicine. It's said that some reclusive ancient healers could even take or save lives instantly using this method, controlling a person's very life force with a single touch." Lauren was quite knowledgeable and had seen it all. Even so, she was genuinely amazed by Andrew's skill from the moment he began, as she realized this man, rumored to be Christina's boy toy, possessed genuine medical expertise. She wondered why someone so talented was mistaken for a freeloader. The treatment did not take long. 10 minutes later, the blood transfusion was complete. Andrew bandaged Cecilia's wound and cleaned everything up meticulously, then instructed them not to disturb the child's rest before leaving the emergency room. Lauren hurried after him, calling, "Dr. Lloyd, please wait." Andrew turned to face her. "Is there something else?" Lauren was looking slightly pale from the blood transfusion, and she said earnestly, "Nothing much. I just wanted to thank the staff at J. Rodale General Hospital properly. If it weren't for you all, Cece might have been in real trouble." She motioned to Eunice, who promptly brought forward the prepared gifts. The nurses and doctors who had assisted Andrew received their gifts with surprise. They knew it was all thanks to Andrew that the Rhodes family was being so generous. "Ms. Rhodes, you're too kind. As doctors, we're just doing our job. There's no need for these gifts." Philip and Bernard chimed in, approaching with self-righteous expressions. Philip, in particular, wore a poorly concealed smug look as if he had been instrumental in saving the patient. Lauren's indifferent response cut through their pretense. "I'm sorry, but I wanted to thank Dr. Lloyd and his team. It doesn't really have anything to do with you two." Ignoring their frozen smiles, Lauren presented Andrew with a gold card. "Dr. Lloyd, this is a token of appreciation from the Rhodes family, specifically for you. Please accept it." Before Andrew could respond, Philip rushed over, breathing heavily. His eyes locked on the card as he asked, "Ms. Rhodes, isn't that the exclusive black gold card from Rhodes Corporation? How can you give it to this loser? If you're giving it to anyone, it should be my dad or me. My dad's the deputy chief of this hospital, so if we're talking about credit, it should start with him." Lauren, unable to tolerate such shamelessness any longer, coldly commanded, "Someone get him out of here." 2 burly bodyguards immediately stepped forward, grabbing Philip by the hair and roughly dragging him away, ignoring his screams. Seeing this, Bernard did not dare direct his anger at Lauren. Instead, he turned to Andrew with a dark expression. Dr. Lloyd, your medical skills may be good, but remember, without the hospital, you're nothing. Andrew did not accept Lauren's card. He had never been in the habit of receiving gifts from patients, even though this card represented the prestigious Rhodes Corporation and would make countless people at J. Rodale green with envy. Miss, is this Dr. Lloyd playing hard to get? Eunice asked with a frown. She had never seen anyone unmoved by a Rhodes Corporation's black gold card, especially one personally offered by Lauren. Lauren shook her head thoughtfully. I don't think so. He genuinely doesn't want it. Though if he were playing hard to get with me, that might not be so bad. She finished with a coy smile, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Eunice was left speechless by Lauren's remark, but she did not take her words seriously. The Rhodes family's heiress was a rare beauty. Few in J. Rodale could catch her eye. Though handsome and skilled, Andrew was still just a doctor after all. As the end of the shift approached, Andrew finished his work and left J. Rodale General Hospital. Just as he reached the entrance, a pink Maserati pulled up beside him. The window rolled down, revealing a stunningly beautiful face. Dr. Lloyd, what a coincidence. We meet again, Lauren said with a smile. Andrew nodded politely. Hello, Ms. Rhodes. Lauren's smile widened. Cece insists on thanking you in person for saving her life. There's a fundraising gala at South City Orphanage tonight. Why don't you join us and keep Cece company? Andrew was about to decline, but he got into the car upon hearing it was at South City Orphanage. In that case, thank you, Ms. Rhodes. I actually needed to visit South City Orphanage myself. Lauren looked surprised. Dr. Lloyd, are you also a guest tonight? Andrew shook his head. I'm just a simple doctor, not important enough for an invitation. I'm just familiar with the children and staff at the orphanage, so I thought I'd drop by. Lauren didn't press further, realizing that only Jarradale's elite would attend the event at South City Orphanage. Such a high society gathering would likely be out of Andrew's league. Suddenly, two SUVs came racing toward them, sandwiching the Maserati. Lauren's expression changed, and she was about to accelerate when the SUV in front slammed on its brakes, forcing her to stop. After that, about 8 burly men jumped out of the vehicles. Their leader, a man with a scarred face, leaped onto the hood of the Maserati and grinned at Lauren. Ms. Rhodes, please step out of the car. Lauren remained calm and spoke coldly. Whose men are you? Have you considered the consequences of messing with the Rhodes family? The scarred man shrugged. It's precisely because we know you're the Rhodes family's princess that we're doing this. Don't worry, Ms. Rhodes, we won't harm you. But I'm afraid you won't make it to South City Orphanage tonight. Lauren immediately realized this was a ploy by her competitors to sabotage her. Dr. Lloyd, Cece, hold tight. These bastards don't know what they're in for. I'm calling for help right now. Seeing Lauren reach for her phone, the scarred man's face darkened. He waved his hand and ordered, break open the car door. 2 men approached with sledgehammers, clearly prepared for this. Lauren felt a surge of panic, knowing that even if she called now, her family's bodyguards would not arrive in time. Ms. Rhodes, don't waste your time. It's best if you cooperate with us. The scarred man sneered, looking smug. At that moment, the locked Maserati door opened, and Andrew stepped out of the car. Dr. Lloyd, don't get out. It's dangerous. Lauren cried out, forgetting about her phone call. The scarred man burst into laughter. Ms. Rhodes, your pretty boy here is useless. He's as timid as a mouse. My men haven't even touched him, and he's already surrendering. What a total wimp. Lauren sighed in resignation and put down her phone. Fine. The Rhodes family withdraws from tonight's fundraiser at the orphanage. Just don't harm Dr. Lloyd. He's an outsider and has nothing to do with our feud. It was then that Andrew spoke up. The child in the car is my patient, and you've already frightened her. Now I'm giving you 10 seconds to get lost. Andrew's voice was calm, showing no sign of arrogance. Meanwhile, the scarred man and his thugs were stunned for a moment before bursting into laughter. Ha! Did this pretty boy just tell me, Scarface, to get lost? Idiot, you've been watching too many superhero movies. Trying to play the knight in shining armor. Huh. Boss, why waste time talking? Let's just take him out. Another thug swung a steel pipe viciously at Andrew's head. Lauren sighed inwardly, thinking she would have to step in to protect this brave but foolish man. Suddenly, she heard a piercing scream. The thug who had attacked first was on the ground, clutching his stomach somehow. Andrew had taken the steel pipe from him. Then in a blur of motion, Andrew swung the pipe. A series of thuds followed as the attackers fell to the ground, groaning in pain. Yet, no one could see how he moved as he was moving too fast. Scarface roared in anger, leaping at Andrew with a vicious kick. At the same time, Andrew tossed aside the now bent pipe and, without even looking, launched a kick of his own. Soon, Scarface's cry could be heard, and his body curled as he flew backward, slamming into the SUV with a sickening thud. Blood spewed from his mouth as he struggled to move. He looked up at Andrew in terror, stuttering, "Why you?" Andrew ignored him, turning back to Lauren as if nothing had happened. "Let's go, Ms. Rhodes." Lauren's eyes were still wide with shock. Andrew, who had seemed so gentle and refined, turned out to be incredibly fierce in a fight. She thought someone like him was highly unlikely to be just a boy toy. With his medical skills and fighting prowess, he was more like a hidden gem. Lauren felt a rush of excitement at the thought that she had stumbled upon a real gem. She smiled seductively as she started the car and drove toward South City. "Dr. Lloyd, first you saved Cece, and now you've saved me. I don't know how to thank you enough," Lauren said with a smile as she drove, her interest in Andrew growing by the minute. Andrew replied politely, "I really didn't do much. But Ms. Rhodes, you should be careful. These men might be connected to the ones who poisoned Cece earlier." Lauren's expression hardened. "I have a pretty good idea who's behind this. They'll learn that the Rhodes family isn't to be trifled with, and I'll make sure they pay for this tenfold." From the back seat, Cecilia chimed in sweetly, "Lauren, Dr. Lloyd has helped us so many times. Shouldn't we give him some kind of reward?" Lauren nodded in agreement. "You're right. We should definitely thank Dr. Lloyd properly." Cecilia's eyes twinkled mischievously. "Lauren, I have a suggestion." "What's that?" "Well, since he didn't want our family's black gold card, why don't you reward him personally?" "Oh, you little brat. What are you saying? I ought to wash your mouth out with soap?" Andrew felt uncomfortable listening to the sisters' banter. Lauren's face flushed, but she maintained her composure as she turned to Andrew. "Dr. Lloyd, please don't mind my sister. She doesn't think before she speaks sometimes." Andrew smiled awkwardly, trying to show understanding. However, Lauren suddenly added, "Though I wouldn't mind what Cece suggested if that's what you want." Andrew was at a loss for words. Undeniably, Lauren was an incredibly alluring woman. Born into a prestigious family, she carried herself with grace and had a face that could launch 1,000 ships. Moreover, her figure was really curvaceous. Unlike Christina's cold, unapproachable beauty, Lauren was the other extreme, passionate and fiery, with full lips and curves that could make a man weak at the knees. Andrew had seen his fair share of beautiful women, but Lauren's charm was almost overwhelming. Catching a glimpse of Andrew's slightly embarrassed expression in the rearview mirror, Lauren giggled. She had not expected Andrew to be someone who would actually feel shy, and she was amused. Countless men of all types had pursued her, but Lauren had never met someone quite as intriguing as Andrew. Maybe, she thought, it was worth giving him a try. South City Orphanage was located on the southern outskirts of Jarrodale, on a sizable piece of undeveloped land. Jarrodale's business community had long coveted this prime real estate. The fundraising gala that night was organized to facilitate the orphanage's relocation, attracting Jarrodale's most influential families and business groups. As night fell and the lights came on, South City Orphanage's courtyard was transformed. A red carpet welcomed Jarrodale's elite, who arrived with their glamorous dates for an evening of socializing. "Ms. Rhodes, welcome." The orphanage director personally greeted Lauren. However, as he adjusted his reading glasses, his eyes lit up at the sight of her companion. "Dr. Lloyd, you're here too? Oh my, the children and I have been eagerly waiting for you." A group of orphans excitedly swarmed around Andrew, repeatedly calling, "Andy." Lauren was surprised to see Andrew chatting with the director, realizing that this humble doctor's popularity overshadowed her status as the Rhodes Corporation heiress. Soon, a few VIP guests approached to greet Lauren. She smiled, thinking she had finally regained some of the spotlight. "Dr. Lloyd, let me introduce you to some CEOs," Lauren said. Ready to show off her connections. To her astonishment, The guests recognized Andrew before she could make introductions. "Oh, isn't this Dr. Lloyd from J. Rodale General Hospital? Hello, hello.
I'm James Campbell.
It's thanks to your miraculous treatment that I can walk again. Dr. Lloyd, what an honor to meet you again. Remember me? I had problems with my pregnancy. Thanks to you, we now have a 1-year-old. Our family line is secured. Hey, Dr. Lloyd. I owe you a drink tonight. If it weren't for you, I would have been out of the game at 60. Now I'm still going strong." Lauren was dumbfounded. She watched as these VIPs eagerly approached Andrew, showering him with warm greetings. This guy's connections were clearly extraordinary, far beyond what one would expect from a simple doctor. After finally bidding farewell to the guests, Andrew turned to Lauren with an apologetic shrug. "Sorry about that, Ms. Rhodes. They were all former patients of mine. To be honest, I can barely remember them." Lauren smirked. "Dr. Lloyd, you're quite the dark horse, aren't you?" Little did she know, Andrew truly could not recall these J. Rodale bigwigs despite their status. Just then Lauren's phone rang. After answering, she turned to Andrew and said, "Dr. Lloyd, feel free to look around. I need to take care of something. See you in a bit." Andrew nodded. "Of course, Ms. Rhodes. Don't let me keep you." There was still some time before the fundraiser officially began. More influential figures, all eyeing the orphanage's valuable property, continued to arrive. Before long, the parking lot was already filled with luxury cars. A sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up, drawing everyone's attention. As the door opened, a stunning woman in a pure white cocktail dress stepped out, her legs as fair as snow. Her appearance drew gasps of admiration from the crowd. "What a beauty! Her grace is truly unparalleled. I'd risk jail time just for a moment with a woman like that." That's the famous CEO of Stevens Corporation. Not only is she gorgeous, but her business insight is extraordinary. She'll probably snag this prime real estate tonight. Another luxury car pulled up behind the Rolls-Royce. Sean eagerly jumped out and approached the center of attention, Christina. "Christy, you really know how to make an entrance. I bet you'd be a top celebrity even if you weren't the CEO of Stevens Corporation." Sean's eyes could not hide his admiration as he gazed at the radiant Christina. Christina, however, seemed uncomfortable with his closeness. "Let's focus on business. And I think it's best we maintain some distance in public." Sean brushed off her concern. "What's there to worry about? Everyone knows how I feel about you, Christy. Besides, you're single now. You kicked that loser to the curb, so no one can say anything." Irene chimed in, supporting Sean. "That's right, Christy. Andrew's out of the picture now. Plus, Sean's our ally. We'll need his support for Stevens Corporation tonight." From a distance, Andrew watched Christina and Sean chatting and laughing, surrounded by other guests. He had not expected to run into the woman who had almost become his wife in such a place. He turned away, intending to leave. However, Christina spotted him and called out, "Andrew, is that you? Wait right there." The click of high heels echoed as Christina approached, uncertainty in her steps. Andrew cursed his luck silently before turning to face her with a cold expression. "What can I do for you, Miss Stevens?" Christina's smile faltered. "Andrew, it really is you. Are you still angry with me?" Andrew took a deep breath, quickly suppressing his emotions. "You must be joking, Miss Stevens. A nobody like me has no right to be angry. If there's nothing else, I'll leave you in peace." "Wait, don't go." Christina stepped forward, her tone serious. "Even though our relationship is over, I've always thought you were a good person, Andrew. So please listen to me one last time. Why don't you turn yourself in?" Andrew let out a cold laugh, amused by how Christina was still as clueless as ever. Even until then, she was unaware of the true situation. "Why don't you call the police right now and have them arrest me, Miss Stevens?" Christina was taken aback. Then her face flushed with anger. "Andrew, why are you being so stubborn? Even if I wronged you, that's no excuse to break the law. Listen to me. Return the King of Diamonds and face the consequences of your actions." Irene and Sean approached, their faces unfriendly. "Christy, why are you even bothering with him?" Sean sneered as he turned to Andrew. "A shameless thief daring to show up at a high-class event like this. Where do you get the nerve?" Irene chimed in, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Andrew, did you follow Christy here like a lost puppy? I just don't get why you keep hanging around. It's pathetic. Andrew glanced at the arrogant Sean. Didn't that slap teach you how to behave? Sean's face instantly darkened with rage. Christy's not here to protect you anymore. I'll cripple you in a heartbeat. He signaled, and the Fields family's bodyguard started moving toward Andrew. Just then, a cold voice cut through the tension. My, what a temper. What an impressive show of force. How dare you threaten my man? Lauren approached with an imposing presence, wearing an exquisite red gown. She was accompanied by Eunice and the Rhodes family's top bodyguards. Her hair was elegantly styled in an updo, accentuating her long neck and flawlessly beautiful face. She was breathtakingly stunning. Sean stared at Lauren, almost drooling. Another gorgeous woman had entered the scene, and he was mesmerized. Miss W, what did you say? He stammered. Lauren linked her arm with Andrew's and smiled sweetly. I said he's my man. Is that clear enough for you? Sean snapped out of his trance, burning with jealousy. This loser seemed to have incredible luck with women. He could not believe Andrew had already snagged such beauty right after breaking up with Christina. It just seemed so unfair. Beautiful lady, here's some advice. This guy's a deadbeat, a gold digger. With your looks, he's not even fit to run errands for you. Irene chimed in. Sweetie, I don't know who you are, but be careful. This guy's a loser. He used to mooch off my daughter. You'd better stay away from him before he tricks you too. Lauren ignored them both and turned her gaze to Christina, flashing a seductive smile. Her sharp intuition immediately sensed that Andrew had a history with this woman. Christina met Lauren's gaze with an icy stare. The tension between the two women was palpable. Andy, aren't you going to introduce me to this lovely lady who seems to know you so well? Lauren asked Andrew teasingly, her tone deliberately provocative. Andrew felt a headache coming on. He had not expected these two women to meet, let alone for Lauren to start calling him Andy so casually. This woman was clearly stirring up trouble. This is the famous Ice Queen of Stevens Corporation, Andrew said with a hint of sarcasm. Also known as Ms. Christina Stevens, the one everyone's talking about, the woman who dumped me. Lauren laughed dramatically. Oh, so you're Miss Stevens. No wonder you're so beautiful. I must thank you, Miss Stevens. If you hadn't let Andy go, he and I might never have found happiness together. Her words ignited Christina's fury.